if Jesus died for it, right? It purchased by his blood, I think is what First Peter says. Then who am I to sit up here and in the peanut gallery and say, I'm not going to join a church because they're all hypocrites. I'm like, Christ bled and died for the church. So those are his people. So they should be your people too.
Welcome to Jesus in the Upper Left, where we're talking about gospel multiplication in the Pacific Northwest.
Okay, so Oshawa Hawthorne here with Brilliance Labs, and I have my illustrious co-host, Dr. Pete Armstrong. You want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Yeah, I'm Pete Armstrong. I'm a pastor at Park Lane Church in East Portland and serve a few hours a week with Resonate Global Mission, and it's really fun to be part of this. I also provided that hat, upper left USA. So
I love it. It matches the theme.
One of my little contributions. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I know it's the lava lamp. I feel totally stigmatized. That's like full on the hippie retro meter. It's a little bit off the chart for me, but I will live with it. So, and we're here with Pastor CJ Coffey, and we're kicking off a new series for the Jesus in the Upper Left podcast, particularly around ministry post-COVID and playing out and exploring all the challenges that the church went through in Portland, particularly during those 3 years. And now what does it mean to come out of that and be faithful in ministry? So I wonder, CJ, if you could just kind of set the stage by introducing yourself for those of people that don't know you or Well Community Church.
Yeah. So, CJ Coffey, born and raised in Portland. I'm one of the pastors of the Well Community Church. The Well meets in the old Mount Olivet building, Northeast First and Broadway, just up from the Rose Quarter. I've been there since the church started in late 2000 is when the core group started to gather. And so I've been there that whole time. Married, have 3 kids, 2 who are, I guess, adults and one that's almost an adult, 17. That's me.
Awesome. We're stoked to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
So let's talk a little bit more about the church you serve.
Okay.
So the Well Community Church, and I've gotten to know you over the years. We've been in this servant leadership pastors cohort. It's kind of gone off and on the last few years, and your model of team leadership and how you lead by example in humility, I know is an example to me and a lot of other leaders. I wonder if you could just describe some of the unique aspects of how you guys do team leadership and how you foster humility and servant leadership at the church.
Yeah, we, since 2006 is when I came onto the pastoral team, we have what's referred to as shared leadership, plurality of elders. Now, lots of churches do plurality of elders, of course. Ours is a little bit different in that we do not have a senior or a lead pastor. Not that we're against senior or lead pastors in any way, but for our church and particularly for the temperament of our elders and pastors, the giftings of our elders and pastors, it's a true team. So I am the elder of the 6 elders we have, the 6 pastors. I'm the one that's on staff. So a lot of the day in and day out stuff falls to me, but I have no more or less authority than the other guys. And so what kind of the language we use, we're differing in responsibility, but equal in authority. And so, and it's, we came to that conclusion just, again, for a number of reasons. Part of it was just where our church was at the time. Part of it was the gifting and temperament mix of the pastoral team. And we just really see it as a gift of God's grace for us. Even the timing, we feel it was real providential that just the way that it happened, the way that it did. And so I think because of that structure where it is a true team, we benefit as pastors. I think it contributes to longevity, contributes to sustainability. It contributes to the collegial sort of brother reality of our team. And I think it overall, I would say it has contributed to the health of our church in that it has kept our church from being defined by one primary voice, one primary person, one primary personality. And so while that is, I think, less sexy in some, there's less pizzazz around that. For our context, I think it has helped with longevity. And so I'm super grateful. Like, I think you could have any of our elders in this chair right now, and they would be it would just be such a blessing to hear from them, because we are fully all pastoring together, rather than just one of us and everyone else is just kind of along for the ride. Or not that has always happened, but in some cases I think it does. And so, that's our structure. That's kind of how we operate. We've learned how to do it over the years, so it's not like a silver bullet, perfect leadership structure, solve all your problems kind of thing. But it has been a blessing over the long run for us.
Yeah, that's awesome. So when I was on a leadership team and we were trying to learn how to do that well, we met with you and several of the elders and asked questions and learned how you modeled it. And it's definitely, as you described, how a lot of churches will talk about, hey, like everyone has one vote and we have an elder team and the lead guy is a first among equals, whatever that means. But actually how it gets lived out is often kind of one man kind of rules the roost. And something that one of your elders said to our group that just it still sticks with me is he was describing how you're this highly gifted leader, you're a gifted preacher, and the guy was basically saying, I don't know if you remember this or would know who would have said this, but he's like, oh, we could totally build a crowd and build a church around CJ, and we could market him, and he's got this going for him, and he's hip, and he's this. And essentially he's saying we could totally market our celebrity pastor and we would grow this church. We'd outgrow the building, go multi-service, we'd do this, go multi-campus. And he had the plan all like described and worked out. And he's like, but we don't think that would be healthy. And particularly he said that you don't want that. Can you tease that out a little bit of like the choose your own adventure, be the celebrity pastor, and grow this huge church, which would seemingly have kingdom impact, versus hold back, be only one guy on a team, and ultimately probably pastoring a smaller church because of that. Can you tease out a little bit of that decision for yourself personally and the church?
Yeah. Eric, I know who said that. That was Eric. Shout out to you, Eric. Eric is very generous towards everyone. But in kind of his estimation of them and his appreciation for them, I don't think I have the gifting to be a lead pastor. I don't think I have the temperament for it. So part of it was, honestly, it's, as one of our elders, Justin, shout out to Justin, says, the reason our structure work is none of us want to be a senior or lead pastor. Not that that's bad. God blesses that. And it's one of many options as we decide how to lead our churches. But for us, it was none of us wants to be a lead pastor. None of us feels like we have the gifting or the temperament for it. But we want to shepherd this congregation and we want to love them well. Yeah. So why don't we just do it as a team?
Do it together.
Do it together. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And so that's kind of how it came to be. And we kind of just, honestly, we kind of just fell into it, just given a lot of circumstances that were happening at the time in 2006. And so for me, it's my great joy to serve with these guys. Like if you knew these men, if you knew who they are, if you came to my house tonight, we're all going to be meeting tonight, and knew the quality of men that I get to serve with, you would be like, make this a team. Like, and so I feel so thankful and grateful
Yeah.
to be able to serve. The thing that shared leadership builds, I tell our congregation this all the time. Like, if I was to say tomorrow, guys, I can't do it. Like, I'm burnout. I'm not burnout, but if I was like, I'm burnout, I can't do it anymore. I need to, get a normal job or whatever. They would talk to me. They'd probably try to talk me out of it a little bit. Like, okay. And then they'd concede, say, okay, man, if that's what you feel. But tomorrow morning, we would be brothers just the same. Like, the relationship wouldn't be affected at all. Because there's this, that family sense of doing this together. And I think it's, my heart is sinful. My heart wants adulation. My heart wants praise. I want people to like me. And so unchecked, which I do think Christian celebrityism, that innate sinful reality that is in every human, that it can run unchecked, particularly in people that are very gifted. And so they implode. We see it all the time. So what shared leadership does is it says, you're just not that important. Like, you're just one of the team. Like, regardless of your gifting, regardless of kind of what others say about you, it's not your week to preach. So be quiet, And so, man, that's such a beautiful check on me. It's such a freeing place to be. It's such a beautifully humbling place to be. Just like the Lord, like keeping me low. And so, I think in God's kindness, He's blessed me with that sort of leadership structure, knowing that if I was in a different circumstance, with different leaders, I might implode because the Lord knows I don't have the whatever you need to be the guy.
Yeah. And one last story that really stands out from as we've engaged in this dialogue over the years is you described going to a pastor's conference and being around a room of a bunch of lead guys.
I bet people can't figure you out.
Oh,
really.
No, not at all. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I'm like an alien, man.
And I hope you don't mind me
No.
sharing the story where the question was, among these lead pastors, like who are your confidants? Who do you go to talk when you're dealing with issues and challenges? And they went around the room and to a guy, every one of them who they talked to was outside of their church. Because the leaders on their team, their elders, their other staff pastors weren't safe, quote unquote, to engage vulnerably. And then it got to you. And what did you say, CJ?
Yeah, I can't exactly remember my exact words, but the question felt so foreign. Because like my closest friends are my fellow elders. And so that's who I go to. My first call for anything is them. And so, so and I understand, honestly, I understand the quandary, particularly if you're in a church tradition with a very strong kind of senior pastor model. The church really looks to you in just kind of a platformed way, almost.
Yeah.
I get the pressure that must feel like, can I tell these folks when I'm struggling, there's just a lot of pressure there, but that's not pressure I have felt, because of the shared leadership structure. And so, it was my closest friends and my confidants are the guys I serve with, and again, if you knew the guys I serve with, you would see why that is. Like, I also understand in some contexts, some people who are given the title pastor or elder are not necessarily shepherds, right? They're not necessarily gifted or even called to come alongside the people of God and walk with them. And so they wouldn't be safe. They might, the congregation may feel, I don't know if I trust them, but the brothers I serve with, like you can go ask our congregation. They'll go to any of them because they're First Timothy kind of men, you know.
So I want to shift a little bit to thinking about your multiplication strategy because, you know, we're Multiply PDX and I've heard that you guys have you've done some overseas church planting and church multiplication, that sort of thing. And you've sort of maybe focused on that instead of like locally here in Portland. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so we're very, our ethos and heart is to be both, right? To engage in Portland, to love our city well, to kind of equip, encourage, inspire, challenge our congregation to love